Hello. It is the end of the day, Saturday. Day 13, 14. Tomorrow would actually be 2 weeks, 14 days that Anthony transitioned, exited, completed his assignment, his task here in his earthbound destiny. I don't know how I acquire the strength per se. You know, I'm awed sometimes, always, at this whole experience and how the divine is working with me in this process of grief and loss. I want to help out of my situation. I was prepped for a time such as this in my life, in my destiny, my journey. What I can say is that because I was very in tune with my inner self, my higher self, the divine, spiritual matters, things pertaining to the times that we're in, the forces that are so instrumental to everything that we call life were sending signals, making adjustments, moving in 2020. And I was fortunate enough to not be distracted to where I was not able to hear and pay attention to the things that fundamentally mattered concerning my destiny and the destiny of all that is, right? So as I was plugged in and tuned in to higher matters, I was able to see things on multi dimensions from different perspectives that gave me the wherewithal to deal with the pending crossroads that was ahead of me. We've entered another age, another phase of what humanity calls life. And we're not just a multifaceted collective, we are multidimensional. And we all have a divine purpose and destiny, and we come together and we grab a hold of each other so tightly sometimes, and there's so much to be understood about how we set ourselves up for great despair with strong attachments to each other. And it's so easy to forget that we don't belong to one another. We don't belong to one another. And what I do know is that this go around was my final go round with this phenomena of losing love. And I will rephrase that because I don't consider it a loss at all. It was not a lost love, but losing a loved one in his physical. It's not easy. I mean, we were joined at the hip day and night, and people look at that's a problem. But that's what it was. And it was on divine purpose and destiny. My love, I was what he needed so he could self-actualize, come into his own. Okay? It wasn't about me. And he would say that when we would get into moments of intensity. It's not about you out there. It's not about you. And so in his transitioning, I realized, much of that was not about me. It was about him getting where he had to be so he can transition and say, job well done. And now I'm stepping into the same place of, okay, we got to make this exchange. You did your job. You did well. And now you got to go forward by yourself through this threshold. And, I had an acceptance. You can't deny what it is from day one. But on the 11th of January, I had to have real acceptance of the fact that this was a predestined path for both of us in that time and space. And we're both a part of something much greater than the two of us, right? And so, in order for me to move forward in the face of grief, I have to have acceptance. Forgetting those things which are behind you. Why would you want to forget those beautiful memories? It's not that you need to forget them and that you don't have a recollection, but you have to not dwell there. Because what you have every right, responsibility, and really you have a charge to put first things first. And your past and whomever and whatever, I have not lost someone that I would consider of my flesh and blood that would make it seemingly like impossible. But nothing is impossible with the divine source of all things that is within you, because that is the greater source within you. The you that is hurting, that is wallowing, that is suffering, is the you that is attached to that temporal part of yourself and the part of the person that you have lost. If you can shift your awareness and your focus on the temporal part of the beings, yourself and the other, and see yourselves as bigger, broader, more expanded, and eternal, you can then let go of that which has passed away and know that the essence the spirit, the greater portion of the individual still remains, and they are in peace, no matter what the religion says. When we leave this body, we are present with our full, divine, whole, complete, lovely self. There is no lack or loss or pain or suffering for that one that has transitioned. None. They ain't mad at you. They're not sad. They're not grieving. There's a lot of different approaches to this matter of the afterlife. My approach is what it is and what it sounds like. If you receive it, well. If you don't, maybe later, and that's okay. If never, then so be it. But if it's for you, if it could be a seed that may land on a particular part of your field, your soil, and it might make a little bit of resonance and start to germinate and make some sense to you and bring some nourishment to your soul to break past that pain called grief, then so be it. They don't belong to us. And so they return into themselves. And we can't be stressed out about that. We can't be defiant about that. We can't be resistant about that. We have to accept it for what it is. But what is important is that you get plugged into yourself, your higher self, the divine, so that you can get the fortitude, the strength, the understanding, the inner standing that you will that's required for you to stand against this horrible thing called grief and loss. It comes back to me. I have to look at my dream. I have to look at my vision, what I plan for myself, so I can keep going on, so I can check something off on my list today that I did for myself to advance myself, because Anthony is well and he would want me to be well. And the only way that I'm going to be well is to make steps towards my future and my dream. And that's another topic that I will present, because one of the things that I kind of understand about grief for myself, for instance, this is not my first merry-go-round with this thing, and this thing of manifesting my dream life, right? So imagine, had I not understood some things long ago in terms of vision, right? You write a vision, you start to visualize, you dream a thing. You are now bringing this thing forth from your dream into your manifested reality. That thing is everything. That's your Jesus. That's the reason why you get up in the day, to actualize that dream life. And it's very important how you construct your dream. The components of your dream, let me just say, they need to be pure. They need to be a solid element like unto gold that is able to stand in the midst of the fire that's going to come up against your dream. And if your dream is filled with a whole bunch of requirements and people and places and things and more things that cannot stand in that fire, when the fire comes, because it does come, And all that you have filled your dream with cannot withstand the fire. The devastation is that much deeper, that much more profound. Your dreams have been shattered because you've built so much of everything else that could not withstand in the fire. You put so much of that in your dream, and when it's failed to meet your expectation, failed to meet your requirements, when the plans and the destiny of the individuals that you've plugged so and rooted so deeply in your dream, when their plans have changed and have disrupted your dreams, and then you have nothing to look forward to. Your dream has been shattered, your whole world. And as a mother, a woman, a queen, we could get caught up in having everything and everybody caught up in our vision for our future. And when things start happening with this one and that one and that one and this one, we can't seem to hold on to our vision for ourselves. And when they're gone, we don't even know how to look ahead and pick up and have a vision to move into and forget those things, that pain, that loss. It's done and over. But if your dream can be ahead of you and in your mind's eye, it can lessen the grief, the pain, the suffering. I only was brought here I told my son if I had to choose between stepping into my destiny through the same doorway that my beloved exited and stepping into my dream life, which I know is a glorious and beautiful thing, or continuing on with my love just as we were, flea market every weekend and the casino or whatever, the movies, just being, I would have settled for us. I would have forfeited my destiny. I would have laid it aside. I wouldn't be talking to y'all right now. I wouldn't have to be proven strong. Wouldn't care. I wouldn't teach another lesson. I wouldn't go deeper. I wouldn't go higher. I'd settle to be with my love if it meant we could be together. And divine spirit knows that if we knew what we would have to sacrifice to step into divine destiny, we wouldn't. And it's so necessary for each and every one of us to step into our destiny because it changes the trajectory of the entire world. And you gotta know that, you gotta believe that. I'm changing my trajectory for my life and the generations that are coming after me. The suffering of Christ. I start the day well. And I finish the day well, peacefully. In between, It hurts. And then I just say, okay, let me remember the something nice, and it stops hurting. And then, the more I put myself in, engage myself in what remains, me and others. Yes, and others, believe it or not, in the last 2 weeks, I'm grateful that those that have been there for me, I've been able to be there for those that are going through themselves. So I'm living in my purpose, and so I don't have a lot of time. I don't give a lot of energy, a lot of time for the grief. Sometimes I want to just like one day, just like get it all out, and I'm waiting for a good rainy day. I'm waiting for that sister that, that they're inboxing me. I know when we get together, when we see each other, it's just going to come out, and there's a time and a place for everything. And we will get through this. We will figure this out. We will take the keys and we will unlock the door and let grief out of our hearts. I'm going to get the keys. I got the keys. I'm just fidgeting, trying to get the lock unlocked. Because I got the mother freaking key. Wow, that was good. And I thank you for listening, watching, sharing, subscribing, following. Because there's a lot more that's getting ready to come forth. It's my season. 1111 7777777 every day, all day. Namaste, peace, blessings. Love you.